Room with the Moose. Joan Vasquez, Rob Hummel again. Wrote the majority of the scripts for the first season, I believe, or the first half of the first season. And what was that? Chris Graham and Miyuki. I think this was Miyuki's first episode that she boarded on. Very Japanese, had a very Japanese sensibility. This is all her stuff. And you could tell the way that she acted the characters. Had sort of an anime sort of a sensibility in some ways. She was from Hey Arnold, I believe. She had lived in Japan and worked in the Japanese anime industry for a while. And then came over here. I don't know why. She moved over here, away from her family and everything. Just set up shop in America. Worked on Hey Arnold for a few years with Tuck Tucker as her director. This episode was entered into the Ottawa Film Festival. We also entered into the Emmys in 2002, hoping we get a nomination for Best Show on TV. But I quite frankly feel, and this is I'm slagging myself, I'm not slagging anybody else, that this was one of the worst directed shows in this season. Like there, that shot of Zim's chair being blank. I can't believe I never caught it. You see that one kid, Chunk or whatever his name is, back behind Zim's chair. It looks like Chunk's sitting in Zim's chair. Horrible directing, horrible. I should have caught all this and changed it. Can only assume that this was that time where we're dealing with other shows and it just fell through the cracks. Miyuki's stuff, though, at this point was it was hard to get Miyuki into line with this, so there were a lot of revisions on this. Louis Del Carmen had also started up as a board supervisor. And there was a lot to do to get these shows into shape. I love Zim's expression there. Like this whole rap sequence coming up here with Gur's rapping in the bathroom. And it just never played off. It should have been better sound effects. Just, he's rapping, and then you hear, when Zim pushes the button, you hear a big... And it's sort of his half-ass. At the Ottawa Film Festival, they didn't have a very good sound system. The sound was really turned down. We lost to a French cartoon done in paper cutouts about two kids in World War I. Sort of rabbity-looking paper cutout kids. And just the sound, there needed to be more impact. Sounds needed to cut in really quick and be loud, and a lot of sounds in this just weren't impactful, and it really hurt the storytelling. I hated going to sound mixes for these shows. Really arbitrary nonsense going on when we did sound mixes. Almost impossible to get anything done. And it just became muddled garbage. This was a premise that originally was supposed to be in the first 6 episodes. I remember when I came onto the series, they already had an outline for this show. I don't know why it took a while for this to get made. This is like episode 9 or something like that. Maybe 8, 9. It took a while for this episode to actually get started and be made. Oh, I feel really bad. Mr. Han was the overseas director on this episode. Just the most horrible... that scene right there, that whole animating background. I don't know how it got through. It was supposed to be a cut, so it's leave, cut, no, cut, evidence, and you're basically not animating out from that stall. Somehow it ended up getting animated. I felt so bad when it came back. I never apologized to Mr. Han. I should have done that. It was just... He never should have had to have done all that work. I think Chris Graham did most of the work inside the cockpit. Miyuki did almost everything outside the cockpit in the show. It was quite a combo of 3D in this episode. And for some reason, I never quite enjoyed it because it always looked like 3D. The 3D of that spaceship, the 3D of the wormhole in space, it all looked 3D the way it was colored and animated. Where in other shows, it looks like the 3D matches up a bit better. Like there, just horrible. That 3D is bad. It's just a very loosely put together episode in the end. Also very difficult to shoot out of the windows of a bus. As an animated show done in 2D inside the main cabin of the bus, it was horrible to have, it would have to have everything animate, all the roads animate back, all the buildings animate back. So you ended up having to shoot up and down inside that school bus to avoid seeing too much animation, which would just bog down the overseas animation crews and make the character animation worse. So it really limited the basic cinematography of the show. Once you're in the cockpit, it's fine. It's space. Very easy. We just have a background. You're trucking in on it, or you're panning it. Very simple. But there you are in the back of the bus, and it's all these video screens with the street and the dog and everything else, and just too much to animate. The screen direction on part of this is horrible. It's funny, that dog looks like two guys in a dog outfit running along. It's like a pantomime dog suit. The layout crew that handled this episode wasn't quite up to the top. You can see that little window with the itching, it doesn't match the perspective of the rest of the shot. Just sloppy work overseas on the layout. It wasn't the boards. It was done properly in the boards. And I always felt the idea of a room with a moose. I know this has been used, and lauded by a lot of Zim fans. A lot of people love this episode, but it's just a room with a moose. To me, it just doesn't have quite. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Dibs sort of says it there, but it's like, yeah, it eats walnuts, so it's just a lame, silly kind of a potential threat. Hey, if you stay in the bus, how would the moose ever hurt you? That's funny, this shot here. Whoever timed this put on these eyes blinking at different rates. That was really cute, having Gurr in the background. Not the sort of average storytelling that you get in most cartoons or TV shows. That's what really helped, make Zim a little bit beyond normal. I had edited together this sequence here, in case if you're confused by it at home. In animatic, I had used some funky music, and I basically turned it into that, and it got animated. I think it was fully animated, but Joe didn't like the animatic so much that when the footage came back, he turned it back into what I had in the animatic, which was actually rather gratifying. It's great using these ridiculous little icons. It's also great having that musical sting. Really helped out that shot, seeing the moose. Zim wasn't really like anything else I've seen on TV either, before and since, pretty much, So it was a great opportunity for people. A lot of people did quite well after they got off this. Some people didn't do so well. Some people did, but it's a well-remembered show by the fans of the show. We have a great cult following, which is very gratifying.